We apparently had a little glitch, so I'm back. People are probably out there asking themselves right now, why grow corn? And there's three reasons. One, you grow corn, you can eat it. Two, you can feed it to your animals. And three, it's good commerce. You can take your corn and sell the seed. The seed is actually going to be worth more than the crop is, to be put into a pot and boiled. This is what I was talking about. This is the decorative corn that I'm mixing in. And when I say I'm mixing it in, I'm only putting one kernel in every 2 hills. And mixing it in with, Golden Bantam, which is a very old strain of sweet corn. Where's it here? Early Sunglow, which I find grows good, but who knows? It's probably something they just changed the name on to. Now this is Early Golden Bantam.
Okay, hold on just one moment.
Okay, let's see, Early Golden Bantam. Silver and gold. Well, I don't even think I've planted that yet. And, okay, most of that is Golden Bantam. I probably planted most of the other stuff I've come up with, like sugar and butter, a couple of the multi-white and yellow types of sweet corn. However, this is what you have to stay away from. That is Silver Queen, and it says hybrid. And if you mix that in with this, your seeds are going to come out sterile. So you're not going to be able to save your seed and grow it the following season. What good is it? You're not going to be able to go to the store and buy it. Now you should know this, that it is possible to eat field corn that you grow to feed cows and pigs and horses and that kind of thing, but it has to be picked very, very early. And your window is maybe 3 to 5 days. So it isn't something that you really should try to rely on. All right, now this is the corn, and you can, like I say, you can eat it, the sweet corn, or you can cut it off the cob and can it. If you don't have electricity, you're not going to be able to freeze it. Let me put that in here. So you're not going to be able to freeze it, and you're not going to be able to keep it in the refrigerator. Here. Now there's a potato. I've got a whole bag out there, and they're starting to sprout. And for those who do not know, you can take these potatoes, quarter them, halve them, quarter them, and you can plant them after the first frost. And you not only can plant these after the first frost, but you can also plant peas right along with them. And you don't even have to bury them. All you have to do is you can place it on tilled ground and then take anything, hay, straw. One year I used newspaper and then sprinkle a little bit of sand over the newspaper and they'll grow, and you don't have to dig the potatoes out of the ground. You just push the stuff off the top of them, and the potatoes are laying on the ground around the original seed potato. So this taking the potatoes, putting them in a root cellar all winter long and taking them out, you do that, you know what you're going to wind up with? Rotten potatoes. And you're not going to be able to grow potatoes out of them. The majority of them will be rotten. Let's see here. Oh, okay. Do this. Now remember, I do what's called, that should go there. I do what's called square foot gardening, which means I have to put as much in the ground as I possibly can, so the plants, when they grow, will drown out the weeds. You're doing just the opposite of what everybody, you plant a summer squash, and then they want you to, till up everything within 3 feet and so on. It's ridiculous. What you want to do is plant your stuff so close together that it's going to drown the weeds out, but it's not going to drown out your other vegetables. Here's something I should show you. Cotton. You can grow cotton. Wouldn't be a bad idea, because people are going to, who have a spinning wheel, can make it into thread. And then if you've got a loom, you can make it into clothing. And if you got a treadle sewing machine, then you can make shirts, sheets, pants, whatever you want to make. Although I am going to make a confession. I can't get the damn stuff to grow. And I'm not sure why. And I can't come up with any reason why it won't grow for me. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, if the seeds have to be frozen. I don't know. So if anybody out there can help me on that one, I'd appreciate it. Same thing on peanuts. I'd also grow peanuts if I had the proper knowledge, but I don't have the knowledge. I've tried peanuts twice, and I can't even get them to sprout. Here we go. Okay. Beans. Beans are a very good crop, and you can grow the beans right along with the corn. Put it right in the hill with the corn. The 3 sisters, beans, squash, and corn. The Indians grew them together. They planted their corn in hills, and then they would put the beans in there, and the beans would crawl up the corn stalk, and the squash would fan out around the corn stalks, but in some cases would grow up. There is a big controversy as to what type of bean or what type of squash the Indians were growing. And I haven't been able to find out a lot. Watermelon. Watermelon's a good thing to grow. You're not going to keep it for long, but it does have its good points. Let's see here. Okay, leeks. I can't get the I can't get the leeks to grow. But then I really haven't tried hard. There you go. They do grow, but I haven't been able to utilize them as food. I don't know if it's just because the eggplants are not big enough or they're shutting down quick on me. Last year we had weeks and weeks of 100-degree weather, and I had a problem with the garden shutting down on me because of the heat. And unless I went out there and put 100 gallons of water on the garden every other day, forget it. It's not going to happen. Tomatoes, I'll be honest with you, I at one point was growing my own tomatoes, but just as easy for me to go get a tomato plant and grow it. And then what I don't utilize, I take and I throw in the kitchen garden. And if anybody doesn't know what a kitchen garden is, in the summertime, they move the kitchen outside because of the heat. And they would plant a garden out there around the kitchen garden. And if you had something that wasn't any good, like a tomato begins to get rotten, they take it and toss it in the garden. Same thing with cucumbers. Toss them in the garden. I had last year, 40 tomato plants out there in the kitchen garden at the end of the house, and had all the tomatoes I could eat. Same thing with cucumbers that were thrown in the garden out here in front, and I just had 20 or 30 cucumber plants growing up on the corn, and I had cucumbers all over the place. And I made pickles out of them. I like dill pickles, and I made dill pickles. I make the big barrel type dill pickles. So a summer garden or a summer kitchen garden is a good thing to have. I would set the kitchen up under the carport because you got a roof over it, and do all the cooking out there instead of in here to keep it cool. Peas. The peas work very well if you plant them in November, along with the potatoes. I'm finding that if you plant them here in March, they don't work well. And you can actually see that over the winter, the peas will come up, and then the frost will knock them back down, and the peas will come up again, and it'll do that all winter long. But yes, it's killing the top of the pea, but the root system is getting bigger and bigger, and it's going farther into the ground. Okay, I got here turnips. Now, turnips are a nice crop, but I haven't grown any. Beets. I've grown beets. I don't really like beets. And then I have these are a different variety of beets, which are okay, but I don't, like I say, I don't really like the beets. But then again, on the other hand, if you're starving, you can eat them. You'd be more than happy to have them. You put that in here. Oops. But I go and I'll buy stuff and then squirrel it away and use it at a different over different seasons. Now this is dill seed, which is something you really want to grow because you can use dill to make corned beef. Okay, radishes, summer squash, well, these are what? Yeah, summer squash. Okay, yellow beans. Yellow beans do very, very well. They seem to be more or less resistant to the really high temperatures and low water content. These are crook neck summer squash. And if you get good summer squash, you really want to take a big one and save the seeds out of it for the following season. That's that Silver Queen. Okay, radishes. I like the white radishes. Okay, these are lima beans, which are more or less fairly easy to grow. Lima beans. Come on. I have had so many cucumbers coming up that you can see I haven't had to replant any. And when a cucumber is overripe, I just throw it right back in the garden. These are pickling cucumbers, and I find that the pickling cucumbers grow better than the regular ones do. Okay, picklers. Okay, this is summer cucumbers. Like I say, they probably renamed a lot of this stuff a dozen times. So you think you're buying something new. But I mean, here you go. I mean, you got all kinds of varieties. The pickling cucumbers are the best ones to grow that I find. And they will grow up on a fence like peas will. Or you can plant them under the corn and let them grow up on the corn. It's an old world vegetable, so it wasn't here when the Indians were growing all of their neat stuff until the Europeans arrived. And about 80 different species of vegetables and fruit were being eaten in the old world. And that's about 3 varieties of wheat and oats, and I believe 1 variety of rye. When Europeans came here, they took back with them all kinds of food, and they took about 130 different fruits and vegetables back to Europe. The potatoes and the potato famine, that was 3 potatoes that survived the crossing of the Atlantic back to Europe. And that's what they were growing in Ireland until the potato famine hit. And it hit because it didn't have a wide genetic base. It was 3 potatoes. So that's why there are twice as many Irish living somewhere else other than Ireland, because they were starving to death. And that's something you do have to keep in mind, that you have to keep a large the largest genetic base you possibly can, so the vegetables and the fruit don't fall victim to diseases and predators. Now, I have chickens. Now, for the first 3 or 4 years I lived here, the chickens, and I had chickens in upstate New York, but I let the chickens out. But before I had chickens and let them out, I would have tomatoes that I'd look at that one and I said, all right, that's ready to be picked in 2 days. And I'd go out the next morning and there's a hole in it that big, because the crickets get up on them and eat them, or the potato bugs do. I get the chickens and I started letting them out, and all of a sudden my tomatoes aren't being eaten anymore. In fact, there's a lot of things in the garden that are not being eaten because the chickens are eating the bugs. You can't find a cricket or a grasshopper out in the yard, or any of these bugs. Maybe one in 2 or 3 weeks. So having the chickens walking around the yard and eating everything in sight is very, very good, very smart. Although you do have to fence off your garden so they can't get in, because when you plant your corn, they're going to go in and scratch, and they're going to eat the corn kernels that are in the ground. In fact, they'll go after the sprouted kernels before they go after anything else. Let's do this. And like I say, at a later date, I'll come up with the name of that corn. I don't think they've got their seeds out yet up at the co-op. I can't see that. And I am, by the way, legally blind out to 18 inches, and I am also deaf, legally. Okay, that's watermelon. Green beans.
Just peas.
Hmm?
Sweet peas.
Yeah, but there's some weird variety.
Be Sweet 2001, and they're Viking Max.
And then this is muskmelon. And I've got a few to grow. The problem is picking them when they're ready to be picked. And I always wind up picking them too late or too early. Now, butternut squash. Squash is a great thing to grow. They'll last all winter. I just had one on the table out there and got sick of looking at it and threw it in the garden. That'll probably sprout this spring. But if you had a bushel basket of these and you kind of separate them out so they're not laying on top of one another, you can take acorn squash and winter squash that have been grown in 2023 and eat them in 2024, the spring of it. In fact, that's the problem. After the growing season in 2023, the amount of food that's available, say after April, is very limited until July. The old wives' tale that you plant your peas in April and you can have peas on the 4th of July. Well, you can have peas a heck of a lot earlier than that. Just as a means of telling you what is and isn't valid. Now, when you are picking your vegetables, a general rule is pick the biggest one to save the seed, the best one that is shaped properly, colored properly, and you take that and you set it aside, and you make sure that when you take the corn, for instance, off of a cob, you put it in a sandwich bag and mark it, and that's one ear of corn to a bag. You don't want to mix a whole bunch in. Now, if you got a bunch of stuff that you don't think you're going to use as seed, you can mix that all in together. I keep a large amount of corn on hand just in case something happens. And in fact, today when I went looking for corn, I wound up finding that my corn was invaded by little black bugs that I had to go out in the carport and widow all of the corn and let the wind blow the bugs away and keep the corn. And that was that white corn that I grew. Is it good? Well, what I do is I take a handful of corn, I throw it in a jar with warm water, put it on the counter, and you let it takes about 2 to 5 days, depending on the corn, and it'll start to sprout. You take it, throw it in the garden and grow it. And that actually cuts your germination period by, in some cases, on some of the corn, 2 weeks. So, there's a lot of things you can do. The first year I lived here, second year I lived here, I had a garden in and growing the first week of March. A lot depends on the weather. Last year, I couldn't put anything in the ground until the 3rd week of April. So you got to kind of judge the conditions. The gardening that I'm doing here is limited because this is all red clay and it's harder than concrete. You can't dig a hole in the ground to plant a cherry tree without using a pick and a shovel. And it took me almost 2 hours to plant a single cherry tree. And so it took me 5 hours to plant 2 little cherry trees, which is, I'd rather be doing something else than digging a hole. So my gardens are all raised beds. I just take the concrete blocks, line out where the garden's going to be. I get garden soil from Lowe's. No, not Lowe's.
Like the co-op?
No, not at the co-op. Where was I getting the... Oh, yeah, it was at Lowe's. What am I thinking? I didn't like what was at the co-op. And you take and you put 4 inches or so of garden soil in there and mix it in with some potting soil. It's a little cheaper. And They also have a cheaper bag of garden soil. Mix it all together in your garden, and then all winter long, I empty the litter boxes for the cats in the garden. And I use the red, um, yeah, red, damn, cedar. I use red cedar shavings. Throw that in. And then put a layer of, the following year, put another layer of litter box on top of that, and put some more garden soil, and just keep building the whole thing up to the point where you come to the top of the concrete block. It grows very well. People look at you and go, you're using cat litter? No, I'm using shavings that I'm using for cat litter, not using the clay that they have in this commercial stuff. One bag of the cedar, and I can change the litter boxes 5 times, 6 times before I run out and have to go to and use another bag. You can also put leaves in the garden. You really don't want to use oak. Maple is fine, whatever you have, but oak, oak doesn't rot down as quick. Take it, you can also make a pile of leaves, burn it, and then take the ash and throw that in the garden. That works just as well. Everything that I pick out of the garden, corn stalks and alike, get chopped up into small pieces about that long, and I throw it back in the garden and let it sit all winter long. You don't have to, get into it commercially, unless you got horses and horse-drawn vehicles and the property to plant it. But you can. I grow 320 hills of corn, and I may expand that. But a lot depends. Ooh, ouch. A lot depends on what you're growing and what the conditions are like. Too hot and you've got a problem. Too cold, you got a problem. But like all other farmers, you're at the mercy of the weather. Chickens are not a bad thing to have. You got eggs and you got meat. Ducks, on the other hand, are great for the eggs, particularly Pekings and Indian runners. Indian runners actually lay far more eggs in a year than the best laying chickens. About 180 or 190 eggs per year, whereas chickens only lay about 70. To eat them, it's a question of how much do you need. One good 4-pound chicken hen is enough for a family. If you're going to eat Indian runners, you're going to have to kill about 5 of them to get that amount of meat. Pekin ducks, about 2. So Pekin ducks were raised by the Chinese for about 2,000 years. And the idea was to have a white duck that when you pluck the feathers out of it, you didn't have black feathers still sticking in there, which made it unpalatable. But then again, on the other hand, Pekin ducks, even though they'll weigh as much as a hen, they don't have a lot of breast meat. They don't have a lot of white meat. They're more or less all dark meat. Dark meat. And ducks don't pluck as easily as chickens do. I've also raised turkeys, and they're all right, but you've got to have a good source of feed to raise the turkeys. And if you're going to raise turkeys, I suggest you raise the dark turkeys, not the white ones. All right, so that's about it for the garden. I'll show you. Now, the other thing that you should think about raising is onions, because you use onions in a lot of things that you're going to store. Shall we show them the corned beef? Okay.
Absolutely. Come out here and see the corned beef that he's been curing.
Now, this was started on January 19th, 2005. 1/19/25, day one, 21.5 pounds of beef brisket that was cut into 6 different pieces, about that big, about that thick. And 42 days is the incubation period. So 42 days, which is going to be 3/1 of this year. Now, let me, forgot all about that. Now, when you do this, you've got to use a plastic bucket. I find are the best. New, don't ever use it for anything else. With a lid that has a good gasket on it. And I guess I'll use this one. Doesn't make any difference. Lowe's, Home Depot, and Harbor Freight all have buckets that are all the same. There you go. Okay. A small plate on top of a plastic container. Okay, and if you're wondering why all of this is in here, and that is to keep the corned beef under the surface of the water. This is corned beef with, you have onions, about a dozen. You have,
Potatoes or anything in there?
Pardon?
Just Onions,
No, onions,
spices.
onions and garlic, cloves, about a dozen garlic cloves, cut in half. About an ounce and a half to 2 ounces of dill seed. 1.5 cups of canning salt. I like to use the fine canning salt. And do I have it in here? And a tablespoon and a half of potassium nitrate. Now, according to the cookbook, the potassium nitrate is something that is, it says in the book, add potassium nitrate as a ingredient if you so desire. So, potassium nitrate, corned beef without potassium nitrate is kind of like eating ice cream without the ice cream.
Are you putting water in there or
Water.
Water. Okay.
And then I also put about 2 ounces of distilled vinegar in it.
Distilled vinegar.
And I do not. Come on. Okay, there you go. Oops, come on. And I do not refrigerate it. What do you call it?
You put beef tallow or anything in it?
What?
Beef tallow or anything?
No. Nope. No, this recipe is about 200 years old. The original recipe is about 1,000 years old. And what they did was they took a barrel, cleaned it out, and then they would put salt in it. And the salt was the size of rock salt, which they referred to in England as corn. And when they came over to this side of the world, they saw the Indians maize, and the kernels were about the size of corn, and that's how corn got its name instead of maize. This is not anything spectacular. This is to what do you call it? Peppercorns.
Peppercorns. You put dill. Is this what you put the dill in? The dill from your dill plants? Your dill seeds?
I didn't hear you.
Dill seed?
Dill seed is what you want. You do not want to use dill weed.
Okay.
So it's peppercorns.
Dill seed, not dill weed.
Right. Don't use dill weed. You want dill seed. You want peppercorns, about an ounce of them at least, a dozen onions, and a dozen peppercorns cut in half. I cut some of depending on how big the potatoes are, I cut some of them in half and others I don't. And a tablespoon and a half of the potassium nitrate, and a cup and a half of salt, about 2 ounces of the distilled vinegar. What you do is you put your meat in, and when you put your meat in, first you put the salt, put some salt on the bottom of the bucket. Then you put your meat, your first 2 or 4 pieces of meat in there. Then you sprinkle salt on that. And along with the salt, you sprinkle the potassium nitrate. And each layer you put in, you put potassium nitrate and salt. Don't use table salt that has iodine in it. And when you get to the top, you'll top it off with what's left of your potassium nitrate and a little more salt. And you put the top on it and let it set overnight. The next day, pull the top off, put your peppercorns in, your onions, your garlic cloves, and then put the rest of your salt in it, and then fill the bucket with water. You want to leave enough headway in here so it doesn't overflow. Does that smell nice to you?
Yeah, it actually smells real good.
You put a plate down on top of it. You put your plastic koozie watches on it. Take another plate and put it on top of that. And you can see that when the cover goes on, everything is kept underwater. If you don't do that, if you let the meat on top be above the surface of the water, you'll get mold on it. If that does happen, don't worry about it. Scrape the mold off, and then put, arrange it so everything is under the surface of the water, and, just keep going. I check on it about once a week. And then you want to burp the bucket. And there's 21.5 pounds of meat that otherwise would spoil without refrigeration. And that is not what I call difficult to do, except get the 21.5 pounds of meat. You can then take it out. It'll be just fine you can put it in cheesecloth and hang it. It'll be fine. If you want to make it go longer, build yourself a smokehouse, something the size of, if anybody knows what I'm talking about, a phone booth, about 4 foot by 4 foot by 8 foot tall. And you can hang that in the smokehouse, and you take a little pan, whatever you want to use, just get it up off the plywood floor, light a little fire in it, and then throw a bunch of green leaves and sticks in it from a hickory tree, and you can smoke your meat. Make sure the door closes tight, and you probably have to reheat or relight that fire about every 4 days. The fire is only going to burn a couple of hours, if that, until the oxygen runs out in the smokehouse. And you're going to smoke your meat for 2 weeks, something like that, 3 weeks. If you're going to smoke pork, you went out hunting and you shot a pig, or you get a pig from somebody, butcher it all up, and you want to smoke that for 3 to 6 weeks in there somewhere. Depending on the size of it, you might even want to go 2 months, 2.5 months, something like that. And you can even take your bacon and hang it in there and smoke the bacon. Rub it with potassium nitrate, all the meat, and rub it with potassium nitrate and salt. Again, canning salt. And then, smoke it for 3 weeks to 2.5, 3, 4 months, something like that. Actually, when it's smoked, you can leave it in there. You don't have to take it out until you're ready to eat it. Where are you going to put it anyways? You're not going to throw it on the kitchen counter for 2 months, but there you go. That's easy, and it is very worthwhile. And you're seeing it, people are going to look at it and say, oh, well, you can't do that. Yes, you can do that. And there is no refrigeration involved. How do you think they kept meat for 1,000 years? Oh, and what you need is a large amount of spices.
Okay. That is good to know.
Huh?
I said, that's good to know.
Oh, absolutely. And as far as chickens go, you kill the chickens, you pluck them, let them hang for a day, and then you take them and you put them in the bucket. And about, let's say you got 3 or 4 4-pound hens in there, or 3 4-pound hens, and you put salt on them, rub the salt in, shake a good amount of salt on them, put the cover back on, burp it, and put it away. And now those chickens will be edible for 6 to 10 months. You take the chicken out of the bucket, you throw it in a pan full of water, let it soak for, 24 hours to get most of the salt out, change the water 2 or 3 times, and there you go. You can preserve chicken. If anybody has any questions, let me know. The amount of time it takes to do something like this, it takes more time to cut the meat up or pluck the chickens or cut up a pig than it does to actually do the preserving. Modern conveniences are really just a convenience. It's not how people have been living, working, and doing things for 4,000 years. I'll take you out and show you. I've been
take a look at the koi's.
We
gonna go look at the koi's.
At the what?
The koi's, your koi fish.
Koi, yeah. Now, koi were originally bred and raised as food. They were brought to Japan where they really caught on, and they were used in Japan for 2,000 or 3,000 years as food. Oh, follow me. Come on, you going in? Go on, in you go. Come on, Butterball, get in there. Go. Uh, I'm gonna come out here and trip on that and break my goddamn neck. Ooh. These are my gardens. This one bordered with wood. This is bordered with concrete blocks, and I usually every couple of years fill the concrete blocks up and then plant things like Brussels sprouts and what have you in the holes in the concrete blocks. Holes in the concrete block. This was will be this will be the third year for this, so that's pretty much brand new. And you can see the cat litter on top of the darker garden soil, and I also put quite a bit of potting soil in here. There's another one down there. There are asparagus in this. There's asparagus down there, and there's asparagus over here by that downspout. Ow. Okay, there you go. Those two right there, the two biggest ones are koi, and they are kind of stunted because this is only a 300-gallon tub. Originally, I put this tub in here to catch the water from the downspout to give me water for the garden and to flush the toilet. And it wasn't 5 days, and the amount of mosquito larvae in there was just the most shocking thing I ever saw. You take your finger and you touch the surface of the water, and everything for 2 feet around it was incredible. Wind must have blown that in the water. Let me get this out. Come on. This goes under the downspout. You can see the nice, clean surgical cut that I made on it. Come on, and over here. That piece of window screen has got to go back over the top to try to keep the. It's not going to work. But this goes down into the bucket and then into the tub, and the amount of water that comes off of this roof is very substantial. It probably overflows this tub in a good rainstorm 3 times in a couple of hours. So this one down here, the bees are starting to Well, when I saw how well the fish were going to do in the 300-gallon tub, I got a brainstorm. Up in New York, I used to raise fish, but I had a 2,800-gallon concrete pond that I made, and I had all kinds of fish in it. But let's see, is anybody up on the surface? No. This is a 1,000-gallon tank, and I bought bluegills. And I put 100 bluegills in here, but the bluegills aren't working out right. They need more oxygen than the water coming in off of the downspout is providing. It heats up too much, so the water is a little too warm for the bluegills. And at this point, out of 100 bluegills, I probably have 4 or 5 bluegills about the size of my hand. So what I'm going to do this year is I'm going to put koi in here, 5 or 6 koi, and raise them up. They will breed right in this tub. You can take a couple of koi out and eat them, and you'll have baby koi coming up. The only thing you have to do is take a couple of plastic buckets, put chicken wire over them, the small chicken wire over them, sink them down to the bottom so the baby koi can get away from the bigger koi, because that's what fish do. Fish eat, breed, and swim around, and that's about it. So this is, again, another source of water for the garden and for flushing toilets. Let me put that piece of all right, there we go. There we go. And the pump that's in there is a pump that I got at Lowe's, or not at Lowe's, at at Lowe's. Yeah, that's right. And it's the just a ordinary garden variety. It pumps about 600 or 700 gallons in about a half an hour. So, and I just got done cleaning that pump out. Hadn't been cleaned in almost 2 years. And I'm going to get all of the leaves off the bottom. I already did. You can see them all laying around here, but I'm going to do it again. And see what I can do. One thing I did learn is down here, do not use the water from the hose. If you don't have a well, don't use the city water, because that has between 8 and 15% algae in it. And I've had a hell of a time with this thing and algae, so I wouldn't do it again. So you let your downspout fill it up. And there's a chicken coop that got hit by one of these big trees out here. And I'll be honest with you, it's in better shape than the one that the insurance company bought me. So and 3 of these beehives are going crazy. I don't know. Watch it. That's a hole. I don't know. I don't know what they're working, but for being the first week of March, they've been working like crazy for the last 4 weeks, and I can't figure out what they're working. They're not working dandelions, although the pollen that's going in the hive looks like dandelion. And there's another pollen going in the hive that is a very, very pale, almost white pollen. Looks like for pussy willows, but I haven't seen a single poplar tree down here since I moved here. But then I don't travel too far from home because of Nikki. Ow. So this hive, that hive, and that hive there are going great guns at this point. Come on, you girls want to go out? Oh, there we go. Ow. This thing's all busted up. They never sent me directions. I had to sit down and try to figure out how it was supposed to go together. You know? And they just had a thing on the news on Fox News about the avian flu. See, that's all got to get repaired. And they were talking to a guy who raises chickens, and he says, well, is it cheaper to raise your own eggs or to buy them? And he says, oh, no, it's cheaper to buy them. He says, well, then why do it? Because you might go to the grocery store and find no eggs. And he says, that's why I'm doing it. That's why he got into it. This is the potato that I put in there. Oh, was it last week?
I think so.
So I was going to put it in the kitchen, but I said the hell with it. I'll put it out here and do it that way. So, and this is how the gardens are set up. And there's 3 I had 5 chickens, a rooster, and for hens.
Thank you for joining us this week, and we will continue next Tuesday live in our subscriber channel. You can also find us on YouTube under the podcast Survival with Harvey, the American
I gotta go let the
Survivalist.
chickens out. Let me go let the chickens out. You want to film that? Did you want to film it?